And now I'd like to introduce the second keynote for today. And this addresses a very pertinent issue, hacking of connected vehicles. And to talk about this, I would like to invite Mr. Amit Dubey, author and cybercrime expert. Mr. Dubey is a renowned national security expert and a crime investigator on cyber forensics and ethical hacking to various Indian investigation agencies, the defense, and the police departments. A prominent speaker, Amit also runs a radio show, Hidden Files, on 93.5 Red FM. Author and writer Mr. Dubey has been awarded the prestigious Golden Peacock Award in 2015, the Aegis Graham Bell Award in 2015 for Best Innovation in Cybersecurity on Mobile Devices, and the Indo-American Chamber of Commerce Award for Best Innovation for Smart Cities. So over to you, Mr. Dubey, and a very warm welcome to you.
Absolutely.
Hi, Anuj.
Hello, hi.
Thank you so much for having me here, and it's always wonderful to talk to the auto experts. Though I'm not that knowledgeable around automobiles, but yes, I can misuse some of those open entry points in any such device. So I think that's where I come into the picture. I'm just sharing my screen, and you can just please confirm if it is visible to you all. Yeah, so friends, as Anuj said rightly, I'm an ethical hacker. So my job is to challenge any such stable system which developers think like they have really made a wonderful product. Or it could be a car, it could be a network, it could be any IoT device associated to automobile or any other such systems which is a part of the connected car ecosystem. As we said, I'll give you some tips. So I'll surely give you some tips how to hack a car. Don't misuse it, but it requires lots of other skills than knowledge these entry points. You would have known about these two news. This is yesterday's information, 24th April 2020, where Elon Musk has invited the hackers to hack their Tesla car, and last year, I think just 8 to 9 months back, they were able to hack a Tesla car from 12 miles, and they were able to control many of their operations. So these are things, those are happening on a car like Tesla, which is considered to be more secure and most most advanced. And it's definitely a well-designed, well-architected car. So, and then there were a sequence of news about other such automobile companies, including Ford and Volkswagen, and I will not name many of these companies. Like there, you find lots of vulnerabilities in those systems. So ideally, if you see inside a car, you see lots of entry points, because nowadays this connected car is nothing but like a mobile phone. So if we can hack a mobile phone, we can hack a car as well. And most of these hacking attempts are quite similar, like we use in a mobile phone hacking or a system hacking or a network hacking. So these attack vectors are not changed. We are using same attack vectors because the car is also offering us the same entry point. This is just a glimpse of the sensors those are connected with the car. So if I'm able to hack a car, I can control all these sensors. I can not only scare you to that extent that you would give up using a car, or you will be confused like what is going on. So I'll give you a true story. This is around 2016 when I got a case, and we found a body inside a basement in a car, and we were investigating what happened with that person. So the postmortem report said like this guy got a heart attack, and there was no other details available. We investigated from every angle, his history, his travel history, his office, and everything, but there was no clue why such attack had happened inside a car and what could go wrong. While investigating this case, we got to know from the security guard of that building, in which like in the where the base in the basement this car was found and this body was found. The security guards mentioned like this car was honking a lot in the night, and when he because of that honking, when he was like alerted and he went to see the car, he found like this person is inside the car, and he's not moving, and then he informed police. So So because of this input, we investigated the car. There was nothing wrong inside the car. It was okay. But then we found a dongle just if you know about the OBD port of a car. So just behind the steering wheel, there is a socket, which is an open debugging socket for any car. It is in every car. It is available in every car. So, and it works on OBD2 protocols. And in that socket, there was a dongle plugged in. And then I got some information about these OBD2 connectivity mechanisms as well from Google, like what all can be done through these OBD port. And then it revealed many such surprising facts to us. We hacked this car, and through this OBD port, they were able to control many things inside the car, like they were able to control the AC, and the driver was not able to switch off the AC. They were able to lock the car so that the driver cannot open the car. Then they were able to run the wiper, music system, honk, and many such things. And then we thought this person who was almost 70 years of age, I think he had experienced those kind of things inside the car, and because of that, he got heart attack, and this could lead to his death. So that is something which was one of its kind case, and we were surprised. Like a person or a hacker or a criminal can go to that extent that hacking a car and scaring a person to that extent that he cannot tolerate those kind of things, and this could lead to his death. Now, this thing which I have just narrated inside the story, I can't tell you the name of that car which was used by that person, but then this is possible with many of these cars today. And then just last year, a Jeep was hacked by a group of hackers in US, and they have also demonstrated a similar kind of thing, that they can suddenly stop a car on the road when somebody is driving. They can do anything, like they can switch off the ignition, or they can start the wiper, or they can honk the car suddenly, or they can start the music and like loud music. So many of these operations can be controlled remotely. If the car has an OBD port, of course, it will require the physical access of that car to hack it once. And if it is a connected car, like it has lots of connectivity already there, it could be internet, it could be any other mechanism to reach out to that car, you can do it remotely as well. Now, so when we do a security assessment of a car, we normally see these three things: number and type of radios that connected the vehicle systems to the internet. How many connectivity options are there with the car? Whether it is Bluetooth enabled, whether it is Wi-Fi enabled, whether it has RF-based communication, whether it has satellite-based communication, whatever sensors, features, connectivity mechanisms are there, we have to just see that, and whether these are open-ended, these are end-to-end encrypted, these can be hacked through brute force. So all these things are considered first to check the security of a car, and then we see the onboard computers. So nowadays, like there are two parts inside the ECU system in a car. One which is responsible for sensitive communications, like many of these operations are now controlled through electronic controlling systems, like accelerators, your steering wheel, and other such highly sensitive operations. And there are not sensitive operations; those are controlled by a different exclusive controller. So now, in the design part itself, these two ECU are kept isolated so that nobody can hack it. But then there is a flaw, and then I'll tell you that flaw. Now, once you have this ECU, most of these commands those are given to that ECU are not encrypted. They are sent in open text, and that's why these things can be hacked easily. The story which I told you right now, like hacking a Jeep Cherokee using a Wi-Fi, because it has a Wi-Fi connectivity, and inside that it has an inbuilt connectivity mechanism. So in US they use a Sprint operator, and if you have a Sprint Wi-Fi system in your home, there is a search engine through which you can actually see all those devices. Those have the Wi-Fi from the same network. So if your car is also connected with the Sprint network, I can actually browse it in a browser. I can see its IP, and I can actually trace its location. To that extent, it is vulnerable. And once I get the IP and I know the firmware versions and all, and if I could do some OTA on that version and I can control that remotely, I can do so many things. I can send a sudden image, alert images suddenly to the display unit of your car and scare you. And it could be a dangerous alert or an image which is really warning you for something. I can, of course, cut it out, switching off the engine, controlling steering and brakes, or suddenly starting your washer flood or your wiper. All these things are possible remotely in this Jeep. Now, before we go further into this, I would like to focus on this slide and why hacking a car is so easy. Because when you get a connected car or use any such normal car itself and enable it through your mobile phone to make it as a connected car, the moment you connect your mobile phone with your car, you create one entry point, which is the weakest entry point for any car. Because if somebody can hack your car, he can enter into your car as well. So in Volkswagen, they offered a WeConnect connectivity mechanism through an external dongle, and they offer a mobile app. And this mobile app enabled you to trace your car locations, to do many such operations, and getting the car parameters on your mobile phone. But the same app, which is actually giving you the access of your car, offers so many vulnerabilities that the same operations can be done by somebody else as well, because the authentication mechanism is not so secure. Most of the time it is not multi-factor. So that's the reason whenever you try to use it as a convenience, you open a door to the hackers. Now, a hacker can enter into your car through any of these ways. There are multiple entry points which I have mentioned in this slide. I can, if I know your car's firmware version, I can update it through OTA. And if I know the IP of your car, if it is a connected car, I can access it through OBD, which I have just mentioned, OBD2 port. I can also attack it through your mobile device, because your mobile is connected with your car and your mobile is vulnerable. So I'm sending you an image, I'm sending you a video or a link, and from some other context, like the link would come. There is something which is, for example, in today's context, I can send you a link that some of your neighbor is COVID infected, and the details are here in this link. You will definitely click that link because you are so curious to know about that person who is near to you and who is that person. And if you will click that link will not only compromise your mobile, but all devices those are connected to that mobile phone, including your car. So, and if your car is being exposed to the hackers, they can get all your personal details. Those might be there in the car, like your locations, like your profiles, your mobile, like connect mobile phone book number. Those you would have dialed from your car and talk to many guys and all. So all these things could be sniffed easily. I can also give you a USB. If your car has a USB port and anything can be connected to that USB, I can enter into a car through that USB port as well. And I create, what I'll do, I'll have an 8 GB pen drive. I'll keep some malicious content in that, which is auto executable, and I can leave it in parking lot, 4 or 5 such pen drives, or in your office. And because it is, you may see it in parking lot, you will, by curiosity, you will try to insert it in your car USB jack. The moment you will insert it into your car USB jack, not only your car will be hacked, but eventually it can damage many other systems that are connected with your car. So these are the entry points which anybody can use. When I say man-in-the-middle attack, so if your car has any such other connectivity mechanisms which is not end-to-end encrypted, for example, Wi-Fi is not a secure way of communication. So on top of Wi-Fi, we need to deploy many other encryption mechanisms to ensure the security. So man-in-the-middle attack is possible in any such router which we use in our home, and similarly the Wi-Fi router which we use in a car. So all these are quite similar, and anybody can attack these routers because Wi-Fi is inherently insecure. So anybody can grab your encryption key and can can enter into the middle of your communication and can change the communication. So if you are communicating anything with your router, in your home router's case, we can actually see your email, we can see your passwords, we can actually control your mobile phone as well. But in a car situation, we can give you much more damage because we can set a timer, and in that timer, your car's ignition can be cut off. It can be switched off. So if you are driving on the road and suddenly the ignition is off, you will be in panic situation and it could lead to some serious accident. So all these entry points, you would say, like malleability through data storage devices, attack from download apps, because most of these cars, they offer you a platform like Android. And I think now the latest cars, they have the Android OS itself, where you can install the third-party application. And you might be aware about this fact, like even on Google Play Store, most like almost 7 to 8% of the applications are malicious. These are offered by hackers, and Google is trying to clean it frequently, but the hackers, they always come up with new applications, and so the 7 to 8% equation is always there. So if you, even if you're installing it from authentic Play Store, the risk is that you could download a malware or a spyware which can damage not only your car but can leak your personal private data. So, and sometimes you may get a pop-up in your car, a security pop-up or a map pop-up, like your car's original manufacturer, they have given this update, and this update is basically for your map update, to update your map or to update your firmware or to update your OS. And because you would never think like this pop-up can come up from somebody else, you will always believe like this message on your car dashboard is coming from the authentic manufacturer. uh, you will click it, you will try to install it, and the moment you do it, your car will be hacked. So these are some interesting entry point which anybody can use and can challenge your car made with a proper security provisions. So we always follow NIST standard, and these NIST, as per the NIST standard, we say that any such system which is offered to the public or end customers, it should have three security provisions minimum. One is called C, I, and A. C is confidentiality, I is integrity, and A is availability. So if anybody can challenge these three things, your system is not secure. So most of these cars are designed considering this aspect, even though we can challenge any of these things. So confidentiality is like anything which is stored in your car should not be leaked out through any way. Integrity, like whoever is doing what in the car, it should be logged out properly. Tomorrow, if suppose you would have, if I'm able to fake the GPS location of your car, and I prove like you were in that location, and but you were not there because somebody has actually faked that location, there should be enough mechanism to prove that yes, it was wrong, this was done by somebody else. So that integrity should be maintained, and if it is missing, hacker can take the benefit of that also. Availability, each and every functionality should be available all the time, and if hacker can challenge that, like I can stop some of your functionalities of a car for a few moments or a few seconds, even that is a security challenge. So these are a few interesting entry points and security challenges with any of these connected cars available today. And going back, like how can we ensure the security of a car? So we need to see, at least from these 7-8 perspective, a generic car would have each of these features. It would have OBD2 port for sure. It should be secure. It would have V2V connectivity, vehicle to vehicle connectivity. It would have V2I connectivity, vehicle to infrastructure connectivity. So I'll just take 2 more minutes, and it will have all these connectivity which I have already mentioned. So you need to ensure like any of these connectivity which we are offering to expose any sensors of the car should be end-to-end encrypted and should be isolated from your car's Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. And that's where at least you will have one layer of security of. Now these are few things which we follow to secure any car. I'll give you some learnings from the recent data breaches of a connected car. That normally when you take a car on rent, especially a rental car, or when you are selling your car, you don't clean your data. So you have used a car, your phone was connected with that car, some of your phone book contacts were shared with the car or your other details. But when you have left that car, or when you are not using that car, you are not cleaning it, and that is creating a security challenge as per data privacy bill, which is actually being, I think, discussed before me. So please make sure, and these are the things which will be there in your car if you are using a car or renting a car, or you are selling a car which has been with you since a long time. Your contacts, your mobile apps, your digital content like music and all, your location data, your key location information, and your sometimes your securities like garage door codes or something. So make sure you have cleared connections between your device, and sometimes your mobile phone is still connected with the car. So uninstall the app. It is not syncing with the car anymore once you have left that car. So these car manufacturers may provide an app which normally is available with each of these connected cars, and through that app you can clean up all this data remotely also of any such car. So thank you so much. I think I'm done with my time, so we can open the forum for questions.
Wow, I think that was a fantastic session, Amit Bhai. In fact, it was surely knowledgeable, but I think it might have even created a sense of fear amongst the participants. So, participants, if you have any questions to Mr. Amit Dubey, the top cyber crime expert, please feel free to ask. We can take 1 or 2 questions. And please do not misuse or abuse this information. Let's use it to prevent any hacks of connected vehicles. Any questions, or are we too eager for the lunch? Okay, so I'm assuming that there are no questions. And by the way, after this we'll have lunch, and you can get your plates next to your computers, and you can enjoy the next round of virtual exhibition in case you missed in the morning. So Anita, over to you. And thank you so much, Amit Bhai. Thanks a ton.
Thank you, Anita ji. It was really a great initiative.
Friends, please feel free to share your feedbacks for this session of Amit Bhai. आपको जैसा अमित भाई का सेशन लगा उस पर प्लीज फीडबैक्स दीजिए, because feedbacks are very important for us. And we can also thank Amit Bhai for this beautiful presentation that he has done.
Thank you, Anush. Thank you, Anita.
Thank you.
Yes, so thank you very much, Amit ji. And now that we have done with this, I would like to remind everyone once again that it's lunchtime, but at the end of the day, please do not forget to register for your VAP certificate on Connected Vehicles Professional for the day. Also, remember the 15% discount if you've been attending for the full day, and do leave your thoughts about the topic for the day for the contest. What do you think can improve the connected vehicles scenario?